Hi, welcome to Ready, Set, Grow. We are back to finish up our session from last time, and that is on getting your customers to love you. So we did part one last time. We're going to do part two now. And what I'd like to do is give you a few minutes if you want to grab a cup of coffee or anything to go do that. So let me set up the screen sharing and be back here in 5 minutes, and we will get started. All right, that was about 5 minutes. Hopefully you've got your coffee, you've got yourself settled, and you are ready to get started. So let's first take a look at what we are going to be doing today. And I guess I could have kept that sharing on. Today, we're going to talk about part 2 of getting customers to love you. And we've got a lot of things to cover. We're going to start with our kinesiology. We're going to check in. Then we're going to kind of do a quick recap of what we did last time. So I guess I better stop sharing so you can model my kinesiology. So as you are able, please stand up. And the first thing that we do is the crisscross, opposite elbow to opposite knee. And if you aren't able to do this, just use your hand to the opposite knee. And if that's too much and you're not able to stand, do it from your chair. We did enough of those. Now put your hands together this way and do figure 8. And again, we do this because it gets our blood flowing. And more importantly, with kinesiology is we connect both the right and left hemisphere. So we have a lot better access to information that we're hearing and trying to keep track of and make notes or whatever we're doing. So, okay, back of the hands together, weave the fingers together, kind of push out and come back in. There you go. One more. We're going to do 2 more. Fingers together, pull through. And again, clasp those fingers. Yeah, this might be your exercise program for the day. Excellent. So you may be seated and we will dive in. Last time we talked about a variety of things, and I'm gonna go back a bit here. And again, have your materials ready, whether you're using that bigger index card, the little index card, if you've got one of my journals and you're using that, or some kind of notebook, just have your materials ready so you are ready to take notes. Or if you're doing a mind map, it would be fun to hear how many of you are using mind maps. This is the one that just shows the personal parameters for doing a mind map. And I would encourage you to use whatever you want to use. So let's talk a little bit about the process again. So there's 3 main areas that we're going to be working on. And right now we're in the get ready phase or pillar, and we're working on getting your customers to love you. And because there was a lot of information there, we're doing that into 2 parts. Then the next thing that we're going to do is the get set, and we're going to talk about target markets, segmentation variables, things like that, and go through all those on pillar 2, and then we will get to pillar 3. And that's where we are. I want to go back quickly. Last time we were together, we talked about when do you want to take on a customer love program or getting the customers to love you and improving that experience. When we talked about that and talked about reasons to do it. We had some stats and facts that we got from different sources like Salesforce and Bain and Accenture. We talked about also some definitions to help clarify things so that we're on the same footing, and some misconceptions that businesses and leaders often have about doing this. I shared a story or an analogy about how a forest and getting through a forest is a bit like competitive business environment that many of us operate in. And also in that, we talked about the treasure was getting loyal customers. And put that back on. And then we talked about 3 steps involved to do this. And we dug into some specifics and went into the customer relationship and understanding customers. Today, we're going to start with point number 14, and I hope we get through all the rest of this. So let's get moving. And we're going to start with a couple stories, actually. Let's see if I have that on here. Because what kind of future is possible for your business? And what kind of future do you want to have? So I wanted to just paint a picture of the glorious future for you. And the first point that I want to share is having a thriving customer relationship. It can be your business or another business. Maybe I'll just talk about it as a different business. So In this situation, with the thriving customer relationship, a business has strong, genuine connections with their customers, leading to unwavering loyalty, repeat business, and enthusiastic referrals. They enjoy a community of loyal customers who become their brand advocates and spread positive word of mouth and propel their business to new heights. So that's one future that's possible. Competitive advantage. Also, this company that has taken under the idea of building customers that love them, they have a competitive advantage because they stand out in their industry as a business that truly cares about customers, its customers. By implementing their customer-centric strategies, they can have differentiated themselves from the competition, and they have been able to attract a steady flow of clients who value their personalized approach and exceptional service. This company became the go-to choice in their market and enjoys a competitive advantage that drives growth and success. Another aspect can be business growth and success as a glorious possible future. This company experiences remarkable business growth fueled by customer love. They see increased revenue, higher profit margins, and sustainable long-term success. And their ability to cultivate customer loyalty and satisfaction has created a solid foundation for their expansion, for strategic partnerships, and for new opportunities for innovation. This can be the glorious future when you really, really focus on delivering that exceptional service and getting your customers to love you. What happens when we don't do that? Well, here's an example. Stagnant growth. Remember when I mentioned Art, the CEO of the manufacturing company, that called me and said that they just weren't growing? They were just kind of sitting there. Well, they had not been engaged enough with the customers. And without taking action, your company is not going to grow, or any company is not going to grow. And this company faced difficulty in attracting new customers, and they failed to retain existing ones. Actually, Art's company was doing okay on retention, but other companies will have stagnant or declining revenue because customers just are not that happy, and they're not even really that excited about doing business with them. The lack of customer love could hinder their ability to stand out in a competitive market, and that makes it challenging to achieve any of the growth goals that a business has. Second aspect or possible future that can happen is to have a damaged reputation. If a business neglects to prioritize customer love and the customer experience, that can lead to negative customer experiences and poor reviews. This company then will suffer from a tarnished reputation, which can have a ripple effect on the business, pretty much always does. Potential customers may be hesitant to engage with a company that doesn't prioritize customer satisfaction, and that will further hinder the company's growth and success. How about missed opportunities? And by not focusing on building that customer love, the company will miss out on valuable opportunities for collaboration, partnerships, and referrals. And building strong relationships with customers does open doors to new ventures and connections that can propel any business forward. I'm sure you've seen that in your own experience. And without cultivating customer love, a business is going to miss these opportunities and struggle to reach their full potential. So those are some little bit of stories of what can happen depending on which choice we make. So let's take a look here at some of these steps that we want to go through. And you're going to notice that things that we talked about last time and things that we're talking about this time, there's some overlap and things show up in more than one place. And that's just kind of the way it is. So if you feel like there's some duplication, yeah, that's true, because that is what's going on here. And I don't know why my Fathom thing is showing up instead of my picture, but we'll just let it go. So what we want to talk about here is building trust and rapport. And we all know in today's competitive business landscape, building trust and rapport with customers is essential for a long-term success. And trust forms the foundation of strong customer relationships, fostering loyalty, repeat business, and positive word of mouth. So we're going to talk about some of those things now. And the first one we're going to talk about is the foundation of trust. Here we go. And there's 3 aspects of that: credibility and reliability. So when we have trust, that establishes the credibility and reliability of a business. And when customers trust a business, they feel confident that the products and services are going to meet their expectations and that the company will deliver on its promises. So credibility and reliability, important. Risk reduction. And this is something too that often if you do good research is going to help reduce the risk in your business. It's a little different twist here. We're talking about building that client relationship. So trust reduces the perceived risk for your customer. By building trust, businesses mitigate doubts or concerns that customers have about engaging in a business transaction. And this results in increased confidence and their willingness to engage or do business with us. And the third point is customer loyalty. Trust also builds customer loyalty. When customers trust a business, they are more likely to remain loyal over time, repeat business purchases, have positive referrals or give positive referrals, and have a long-term business relationship. And again, we talked about that last time, and we know that loyal customers are worth a lot and can be real allies for us. Okay, there are some strategies that we can use to build trust in our business relationships. And one of those is consistency and transparency. So consistent and transparent action and communications, we need to be very transparent and clear and consistent in everything we say and do in our communications side of the business. And that is fundamental in building trust. And as a business, we need to strive to deliver on our promises and provide accurate information and be transparent about the processes of our business, the pricing and the policies. So any time that you can be totally clear and explain things to customers, it's going to pay back. Another strategy is reliability and responsiveness. And we want to have a business that's reliable and responsible to customer needs. And that is crucial. Promptly addressing inquiries that come in, concerns that customers have, or issues that they have that they bring up. This demonstrates a commitment to customer satisfaction and, again, builds trust in the business's ability to deliver and deliver on what they have promised and committed to. Honesty and integrity is our last point in building trust, and these are paramount in building trust. Businesses need to communicate honestly and avoid misleading customers and rectify any mistakes transparently. And obviously, we don't want to mislead customers and be untruthful. Building a reputation for ethical behavior strengthens trust. So that is an important aspect. Let's talk about how a company can demonstrate empathy and understanding as well. And one way to do that is to put yourself in the customer's shoes and build some empathy. And this shows that you share their feelings and perspectives. You're really trying to walk in their shoes. And when we emphasize or empathize with their challenges and their frustrations and their needs, we can establish a connection based on understanding. And that also helps build trust. Tailoring solutions to customer needs is another idea here that you can use. And we need to, again, go back to understanding the customer needs and customizing solutions when we can. Now, sometimes in consumer products, that's a little harder to do, but it depends. So much has changed in the business world. And oftentimes in the B2B space, a lot of what we do is pretty tailored and pretty customized. So that might be a little bit more of a standard operation. And by going the extra mile to address any specific needs that our customer has, we are going to demonstrate empathy and build trust with them. Third point here is consistent support. And again, when we can provide consistent support on that customer journey, that is so important, whether it's pre-purchase assistance, because there might be some things that are going on before a company does business with us, or post-purchase or ongoing customer service, it's important to, again, be consistent and empathetic. Building trust and rapport with customers is vital for long-term success, as we have just reviewed with things here. And trust forms the foundation of a strong customer relationship. It drives customer loyalty, brings us repeat business and positive referrals. And if we employ these strategies, such as consistency, transparency, reliability, and honesty, then we can establish trust with our customers. And effective communication techniques are really important, being open and clear and having active listening and so on. All of this is important, as is building that empathy and understanding with the customer. I think we've pretty much covered that. So let us move on to the fourth aspect here, which is enhancing customer experience, or CX. And you want to take a look at some ideas here. We're going to talk about 4 things: CX and customer relations, mapping the customer journey, some strategies, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about a couple of examples. We've got a lot to cover, so I don't want to do too much storytelling. So the customer experience, again, we know this is so important in today's competitive environment, and building that strong, lasting relationship is pretty much key. And everybody is trying to figure out, frankly, how to do that. And we need to do that, whether it's the first touch point that we have or post-purchase support. With customer loyalty, what we're looking at here is exceptional experiences create loyal customers who are more likely to return for future purchases and recommend the brand to others. So when we can build that loyalty, that is a definite competitive advantage for us. And differentiation is also another area here, whether it's your brand or your company. If you have superior customer experiences, that sets you apart from other companies and from your competition. And this allows you to stand out in a crowded marketplace. Now, a while ago, I read or heard some experts saying that customer service and good customer service is expected. And I think that it was, and it still is expected, but I don't think it's being delivered as well. I think some things really got shuffled around during COVID, and then coming back into business and getting back in whatever form people are working these days. I think some things are starting to fall apart, or have started to fall apart a little bit on that customer service. I'd be curious to see or hear if you think that has happened as well. Anyway, by improving that customer experience, we also increase the lifetime value of our customer. And we've talked about that a couple of times. So those customers that have a good experience are more likely to repeat and stick with us. And what does that do? It increases our profitability. So it's all a good thing. We want to talk a little bit here about mapping the customer journey. So the first thing that you do in this is to really identify your customer touch points. And if you haven't seen a customer journey map, let me know, or, just Google it. You'll be able to find one. It's a visual, and it is usually kind of linear. Sometimes it goes up and down like a little wave cycle. Anyway, you want to identify all those customer touch points and put that on your journey map, and really learn what's going on at all these different touch points. Are people checking in on social media? Are they getting an email from you? Are they hearing from your salesperson? Are they hearing from somebody else in your company? Really track and document what is going on. And so another thing is that when we are doing this, we want to understand our motivation and needs of our customers. So as you're mapping out that journey, when you gain insights into these aspects and identify the customer pain points at each part in the customer journey, each touch point, you have a better understanding and a better way to connect with the customer. And this helps also then to identify any areas where you need to do some improvements, because there might be some things where we can make some improvements. And then the third point is to prioritize opportunities for improvement. So as you're looking at your customer journey map, You want to identify some key pain points, any bottlenecks, any areas where there might be some friction, and focus on those areas to make targeted enhancements that will have the most significant impact on the customer experience. So you might look at your journey map and you might identify 3 areas where you feel something needs to change. Well, pick one as your priority and your starting point. And I haven't mentioned this. A lot of times there's a lot of information that I'm sharing, and it's helpful if you get an overview of the concepts. That's great. And if you look at it and you start at the point that you are at, because everybody's at a different point. There are people that have detailed customer journey maps put in place. And maybe then what they need to do is just go back and make sure that the assumptions and all the information they have is accurate. So really start where you're at and take one thing and do one thing and make one area where you can make an improvement. Let's talk about some strategies quickly here. And one is to personalize. So tailor the experiences to your individual customers by using data and insights that you have, and then make your product recommendations specific to them. And some online companies are phenomenal at this, and that tends to be more in the consumer area, but you almost feel like they read your mind. And it's because they have good data and they keep up on that. And make some personalized communications as well. And again, today in the digital age, that's so much easier to do. Not completely easy. It's a lot better though than it ever has been. And come up with some tailored service offerings. So strategy, personalization. Second is to use seamless multi-channel interaction. And you want to be consistent and seamless across all of your channels and touch points. So if you're using different digital means of communicating with people, you want to be consistent. You want those to tie together. If you're using non-digital, you're talking directly, phone or face-to-face kinds of things, you want that to be consistent. And you want anything you're doing digital, email, and face-to-face, all of those to work together and be consistent. And you want to have a seamless transition between online and offline interactions, and make sure, again, that your messaging and your service quality is consistent. The third thing, which is really great if you can do this, is to anticipate customer needs and proactively anticipate customer needs by analyzing the data. So again, data, here we go, data again, and understanding patterns. And you'll see that from the data analysis that you do. Anticipatory service, such as suggesting some product or providing timely support, demonstrates a deep understanding of the customer's journey. So imagine if, well, I think some cars do this now, auto companies, where they let you know that it's time for an oil change or time for some other kind of thing with your car. And that's on a consumer level. And oh yeah, there's another company, I believe it's Ecolab, that has technology in their customer facilities that actually tracks the customer usage of the products and services. So they know more actually than the customer does about when they're running low on supplies, and can either preemptively get in touch or actually bring the supplies in. So think of some things where you can use those strategies. There's a couple of different companies that are super adept at all of this, and they're both consumer companies that I'm going to share with you, because those are the ones that are easier for us to understand, and everybody knows who these companies are. Amazon, of course, the e-commerce giant, is known for exceptional customer experiences, and they do a few things really, really well. Personalized recommendations, you get that. You might get an email from them recommending some books or some other products based on what you've been searching around and looking at. They have fast shipping. They have easy returns and seamless online shopping experiences. The other day, I was in one of the local grocery stores, and there was the Amazon cabinets. And I thought, wow, they seem to be everywhere. And what made Amazon so good is they started first as a bookseller, and they had all of the automation and all of the online things working and in place pretty much before anybody else. So they were first at getting all of that working really, really well. And another company I want to mention is Zappos. It's an online shoe and clothing retailer. They started in the shoe business. That's a whole nother story. It differentiates itself from competition because of its commitment to customer service. And frankly, they have stories that are almost legendary. They prioritize as a company building relationships, offering free returns, and providing 24/7 customer support. And the one story that I know that I think is quite remarkable is that a woman bought some shoes and she's got in touch, called Zappos and said that she needed to return the shoes because her mother died and she wasn't going to be using the shoes. Well, the person was so compassionate and talked with her. She sent her a sympathy card. She even sent a courier to the woman's house to pick up the shoes at no charge, and they were returned. Well, that story, of course, goes around and around. And Zappos is known for that. And Zappos also one of the things that makes them a little bit different, which is a great aspect to have, as well as they give their people the authority to make decisions on what they're going to do. Like in this case, sending a courier to pick up the shoes that the woman, that the customer had. So think about these things, if you will, and building customer relationships and driving that business success through our customer experience is absolutely essential. And sometimes we don't really pick that all apart and think about that. So understand the concept of the customer experience, map the customer journey, implement some strategies here maybe that we've talked about for delivering exceptional experiences. By doing that, you and any company can set yourself apart and differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And again, there are good examples that you can use to model your business after. And that is kind of the benchmarking idea, which is a great idea to use. So you want to, again, prioritize any personalized interactions, have seamless communications with your online and your offline communications with your customers. Stand out, do those things that are going to make you stand out. Map the customer journey. If you have an opportunity and haven't done that, maybe you just start with a very rough customer journey map with some basic things. You can always add to it and see if that helps you identify some areas where you can make some improvements, because that's really what it comes down to. You know, when I work with companies, the thing that they love better than anything other than the quarterly planner is getting them some feedback and research from the customers, because they really don't know what the customers are thinking a lot of the time. All right, let's move on to number 5, which is effective communication. And this ends up being 4 main areas: the right channel, the right message, storytelling, and then managing expectations and addressing concerns. So the first thing, let's talk about the right channels. Again, this is so important. We're going to go back to understanding your customers' preferences, their habits, the demographics, you know, who are they, where are they, what are the details about them? And having this knowledge will help you select the most relevant and effective communications for reaching out and engaging with them. And especially if you've done some research, this would likely be an area that you would have asked some questions and will have some actual data from your own research, which is awesome. And omni-channel, okay. And that tends to be more of something that's talked about in the consumer product world. So think about the omni-channel is really a way of getting all of your communication channels working together, such as email, social media, if you have live chat, if you have a chat bot, if you've got phone support, anything that you're doing that communicates with your client, get that all integrated. And that's what an omni-channel is when they all work together. It's kind of more of a system than all separate things that are operating on their own. You want it to really be that more systematic approach. Okay, customer feedback. Continuously gather feedback from your customers to identify their preferred communication channels. Also, like I said, when you can do your own research, conducting surveys, monitor social media. Again, probably a little bit more common in the consumer world than in the business to business, but it really depends on your business, how you have things set up. And I mean, LinkedIn is considered social media. So you might have some things there that you can be monitoring and hear what's going on with people. So get that information and make sure that that gets incorporated into your communication strategy. Let's see what else we have here. Having the right message. So you want to tailor your message for your customers. And if you've got been able to segment your customer based on some common characteristics, behavior, and preferences, that's your segmentation variables, then you can tailor your messages to them. Some companies, again, you can look at the big companies like Amazon, Best Buy, companies like that you can tell they are very good at tailoring their messages because they've got good data. And also you want to take a look at your target markets, or you might call it personas or avatars if you're dealing with consumer products, and really identify different types of customers that you interact with. Again, use your segmentation variables, which are all the pieces that describe them. And then you put together your target market. You say, okay, that's 5 different pieces of segmentation variables, size, gender, if it's in the business world, certain industries, certain sizes, maybe there's certain geographic areas, put all those different pieces together, that becomes your target market. And relevant and timely messaging, deliver messages that are relevant, timely, and personalized to the specific customer segment or target market that you are trying to attract. And again, hopefully you've got that from some of your own research. If you use artificial intelligence, you can get a lot of research done there. So do whatever you can to better understand that, and use the language and tone that works with your target market. As much as you can, use the same words that they use when you've talked to them about their pain points and things that are concerns to them. Another thing that is a really great idea is to use storytelling to engage and connect with customers. And there are experts that say 98% of the purchase decisions that buyers make are based on emotion, 98%, 2% based on logic. That includes the business audience. I know that doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense to me either. So I'll have that argument going on in my head. Maybe you do as well. As far as this emotional connection, then craft some stories that evoke emotions and connect with your customers on a deeper level. You really want to get that connection. And stories have a power to engage customers by tapping into their values, their aspirations, and their experience. I've tried to incorporate that some in just our time together talking about these topics. And maybe when I gave you the forest analogy, you could see that that was a story that a person was looking for the treasure and all of that. Share some customer success stories as well. And you want to share real life customer success stories that showcase or highlight the positive impact your product or service has had on the lives of your customers, their businesses, and things like that. And again, in the B2B space, we pretty much talk business to business, and we talk, how things are being impacted in the company. And highlight these stories when you can. It engages the customer, and they start to feel you're more credible and trustworthy when you can do that. Brand or business company storytelling, again, is a little bit more specific. So if you can develop a compelling brand story that communicates your value, your mission, and your unique selling proposition, now you have a story about a specific brand potentially, or your company itself. And using these storytelling techniques really help to humanize your brand and create a strong emotional bond with your customers. Another part here, and this got a little bit behind some of the graphics here, manage customer expectations and address concerns. First point, clear communication. Be transparent in your communications and set accurate expectations as much as you can regarding your prospects. You don't want to promise things that you can't deliver. So be clear and accurate in your talking about your products, your services, your delivery. And like I said, avoid over-promising and under-delivering, because that can lead to customer dissatisfaction. In fact, it probably would be unusual if it didn't lead to some dissatisfaction. Also, if you can engage in proactive communication, that is great. If you can anticipate and address customer concerns before they arise before they come to your phone call center, that can be great. Maybe you've got some updates. Maybe you've got software companies, again, can be really, really good at this, where they've got updates. Well, some of them too often. Some of them have product updates every day. That might be a little bit much, but it really depends a little bit on the environment, because in some software companies, that's normal. That seems a little bit much to me. Anyway, so put out relevant information to your customers, helpful resources, tips, anything that you can. Be proactive. And one of the things too is just keep that listening going, because you might hear something, you might get a little bit of rumbling, and then you can identify something that you could do that would be proactive and put out a tip sheet or a correction or something. And the third point here is responsive customer support. And as much as possible, again, a lot of training. Have a great call center if that's what you're using, and have your support channels address customer inquiries, their concerns, and their complaints promptly as you can, and have them trained and engaged in active listening, using empathy and timely resolution of those issues or concerns that your customer is calling about, because that all leads to a positive customer experience. And that's what we are trying to have. So you can see, as we've talked about here, that effective customer communication is a vital component of building trust and strong business relationships, and choosing the right channels, tailoring messages, and leveraging storytelling can be really effective in doing that. And businesses can connect and engage and build trust with customers through these different techniques. And you want to really think about having a customer-centric approach. That might even be in your mission statement. Listen attentively and consistently deliver valuable and personalized messages as much as you can, because this is going to enhance the customer experience. You know, we all can get better probably at certain things, and we need to figure out what our starting point is and do the best that we can. 6th point here. Let me see if I wanted to share another story with you. There's a manufacturing company called Bose Manufacturing, and they put together a personalized communication strategy by segmenting their customers, getting all that information and segmenting it, and using their target marketing based on the industry and specific needs of those customers. And then they utilized an email marketing automation tool. You probably know about email nurture programs. So they were doing that, and they were able to then send targeted messages with relevant content and specific offers and product updates. And because they had enough automation, which not everybody does, but when they have really great automation based on the customer's response, they would then have a specific tailored letter that went out to them. And let's say that there were 3 possible responses. They would have a different letter going out based on each one of those responses. So it was extremely tailored, and they were able to do that through automation. Now, some of us might not have the automation, and we might have to do that a little bit more manually, but keep that in mind. So as a result, their customer engagement and satisfaction increased. This led them to higher retention rates. They were retaining more of their customers, and an increase in upselling opportunities. And we're going to talk a little bit about customer retention right now. So let me move my story back, and let's talk about some of these retention and loyalty strategies. So again, we know that customer retention and loyalty is crucial in sustaining and growing our businesses. So that's what we're going to talk about now, and talk about some ways to do this in a competitive environment. Here's some retention strategies for you. Again, we go back to customer experience. Having an exceptional customer experience is a great strategy to use, and deliver outstanding customer experiences at every touch point that you can. And doing that is really key to retaining customers. and consistently exceeding customer expectations by providing personalized interactions that we just talked about last time, timely support, and superior service that is going to help you in your retention numbers. Another idea, strategy, is to have regular communication. Stay connected with your customers through regular communication. I'm not sure if you can, well, you probably can over communicate. You don't want to do something every day, and come up with whatever is going to be most acceptable, meaningful, appropriate. And when you did your research and were interviewing customers at some point in this process, hopefully that would be another thing that you talked about, is how they want to be contacted and how often and things like that. It really depends a little bit on what your business is and what you're doing. So think about anything that you're communicating as far as product updates. Maybe you've got some promotions, maybe there's some exclusive offers. Maybe I had a Flush the 5309 campaign, which was basically when we were phasing out the current device and replacing it with a new device. And we had to do that in a way that I wasn't cannibalizing on the new product or destroying the old product or getting customers upset. So you can have something going on like that where you need to communicate and you need to figure out how you're going to get that done to meet your objectives. And by maintaining and keeping that ongoing relationship, you strengthen the customer loyalty and engagement. So keep communicating. Customer feedback and satisfaction is our third point here. So actively, again, seek feedback from your customers and take their suggestions and concerns seriously. Now, people say lots of things, so not everything is relevant, and we can't go down that path of getting us distracted because we're just jumping on every idea that comes in. And I think you know the difference there. You want to really address the customer needs and continuously improve your products and services based on their feedback. And when we do that, this enhances customer satisfaction and loyalty as well. And when you can get back to people and say, you know, we heard this, so we did this. And then they're like, okay, I'm being heard. They really care. That does a lot. Let's talk about building some long-term loyalty and advocacy here. And relationship building is something that probably is going to take some time. And you want to put together the pieces to engage customers, whether it be through your social media. And again, whether you call that Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you're using, do something to engage them, respond to their comments. If there are things that they're doing in that social media space, make them feel valued. And strong relationships are going to foster that loyalty and increase the likelihood that they're going to be an advocate for you. We call them advocates or ambassadors. You've heard probably both of those terms used. And consistency, reliability. Again, we want to deliver on our promise and provide reliable products, services, and support. And we know that reliability builds trust, and that's a critical component of long-term customer loyalty. And the third point here, personalization and customization. We've talked about that in another fashion here already. So tailor your offerings to meet their individual customer needs as much as you can. And again, in the B2B space, this is a lot more common. It's usually a little bit harder to do in the consumer space. And businesses are getting pretty sophisticated, so they're doing a whole lot better on that too. And your personalization can include recommendations. It can include some customized promotions or personalized communication. Bottom line is, when a customer feels understood and valued, they are more likely to remain loyal and keep that relationship with you. And customer loyalty and incentive programs, loyalty programs. So you might come up with and implement a customer loyalty program that rewards repeat purchases and engagement. You might have something where you have exclusive perks, you have discounts, early access to new products or services, or incentives for continued loyalty. And there's a whole plethora of ideas on that. And loyalty programs can create a sense of exclusivity and make customers feel appreciated. And we did that a lot in the medical device world, where the top docs were, just kind of clamoring to get in to see our new products. And they just felt like, well, it was kind of an honor for them to be included. Okay, referral programs. Encourage customers to refer family and friends. If you're in the consumer business associates, you want to have referrals. Sometimes you can think about giving the new customer a discount as well as the one referring a discount. Take a look and see what makes sense. And there might be some other rewards that you can incorporate. Proactive customer relationship management. This is, again, anticipate the customer needs as much as possible, analyze your data, look at behavior, that purchase behavior and things like that. Stay up to date on industry trends. Try to be really good at keeping up on information, and then offer those personalized solutions. Secondly, customer success management. Again, assign dedicated customer success managers. That is now a job in many companies, and they will proactively manage and nurture customer relationships and continuous improvement. And that is also a topic we're going to talk about specifically down the road. And it's great when you can continuously improve your products, your service, your customer service, all of that, and monitor your statistics, your metrics, and that all is going to work in your favor. We got to get going here so we can wrap things up. And seventh point here, the seventh main area is to talk about customer feedback and complaints. So you really want to emphasize how important this is to your team, because when you get this information, you can use that to grow your business, because your customers are basically telling you what you need to do. And take that customer-centric approach where you are going to value their feedback and use it as much as possible. And again, not everything is relevant, not everything is to be acted on. And so you need to use your team and have your team be really savvy about what makes sense. A couple strategies you can use are post-interaction surveys. And the one thing I would say here is when you do these, make sure they are timely. It used to be horrible. I would get a post-interaction survey a month later, and I'm thinking, what do I remember now? So do those post-interaction surveys quickly in a time fashion. So do it maybe the day after there's a business interaction, but do it at least within a week, maybe within 3 days. And use that information, be concise, be focused, and make it easy for them to respond. Feedback forms and online reviews. Again, you might have various things online with forms and things that can be done. Some of that is more typical in the consumer world. A couple of things I want to touch on here for best practices for handling complaints is to actively listen and have all your people trained in active listening skills, because that means that they're totally paying attention to the customer, and the customer knows that and feels valued and listened to. Again, all of that goes back to creating more loyalty. And empathy and understanding, again, show genuine empathy towards the customer, their frustrations, or the issues that they're facing. Do your best in your training to get your service people to understand that and to be like that. Timely responses, you want to be able to get back and solve the problem in a timely manner. And if you can't solve the problem, you want to get back to the customer and let them know that you're working on it. And that's equally important. Problem resolution, you want to come up with as satisfactory a resolution as you can. Sometimes that's harder to do, sometimes it's not. So keep that in mind. And also something that is great is when you can turn a negative into a positive. So take a look at any negative comments that come back as an opportunity to really see, is there something that you could do that would be an improvement in your business process? Customer recovery. And if there are some strategies that you need to do to really repair a damaged relationship, you can do things to regain their trust and loyalty. Offer genuine and sincere apologies, compensate if that's appropriate, do refunds or whatever seems to be appropriate, and highlight your exceptional service. Share those success stories, because people love to hear success stories and how complaints were handled well, maybe how a complaint caused your company to make some changes in a business process or make a product improvement. All right, 8 is measuring customer relationship success. And here again, as much as possible, you want to have some data and identify what things you want to measure. And it can get to be a big bugaboo. So start small and figure out a couple of key things or 5 key things And if you're further along the line, then you can always add things. So just start with something. And an area to really look at is probably if you're doing some customer satisfaction work, really monitor those scores. And another thing that a lot of times people use is the Net Promoter Score. You can get that through SurveyMonkey and get that fairly well automated. So take a look at that. Just know that the NPS is not a measure of everything that you need to know. So sometimes there's more to the equation. Take a look and use feedback loops and implement anything to get that feedback going and incorporate continuous improvement. It really kind of follows the agile concept, which again tends to be a little bit more common in the software world. Not that we can't all use it, also a little bit more common in tech products. So follow up with emails, have your post-purchase surveys. Maybe you have some information where people can get online. You know, there was some research done. I forget if this was out of the University of London or if it was University of Virginia. I forget who did the research, but there's research where people actually liked responding and taking their complaints to Facebook more than dealing directly with a person. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but that's what the research showed. Take a look at your post-interaction surveys that we mentioned and track your customer retention rate. So it's so important to know that we aren't losing clients. And if we are, we want to lose the ones that are costing us time and money. We don't want to lose those good clients. So really track your rate and take a look at that as much as possible. And even your repeat purchase rate. So as you're developing your business and as you're growing, start tracking more of this. And if you have this now, awesome. If you've got it automated, awesome. If not, just see if there's something here where you say, you know, we need to do one of these, or we're going to do 3 things in the customer retention rate. You probably just need to do one rate in the repeat purchase rate. Maybe that's one number. And this all, again, is going to give you a higher customer lifetime value and kind of gets to be the name of the game. There are some strategies you can use. And the first thing is to regularly analyze your metrics, whatever those metrics are. If you need to do it by hand, do it by hand. Keep it simple. Just get started. And most of the time, you know what these are on a gut level. And take a look at things. I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be super complicated. And okay, I can. Whoop, sorry. I want to go back to that. All right. And benchmarking. Yes, I was going to fix that little typo there, but that stopped my recording. So benchmarking, you want to compare your metrics. If there are industry standards, that is great, or competitors, compare your numbers to the competition. And you want to really take a look at how you're doing. And if you can come up with a way, you can benchmark yourself and you can look at your own improvements on a 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it is. I would say maybe if you're just getting started on this, take a look and see how you compare in 6 months and then see how you're doing in 12 months and figure out, it doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be super fancy. And then qualitative analysis. This, you can dig deeper into customer feedback and get comments to gain qualitative insights to experiences that your customers are having. And so you want to look for common themes, pain points, and suggestions for improvement. And qualitative data is more anecdotal. It's more when you're just talking to somebody versus having a statistical survey where you've got multiple choice questions and you've got all kinds of data. So qualitative data is helpful because people then are expanding and explaining things a little bit more. Otherwise, quantitative data is the other type of analysis that is typically done. All righty. We want to keep going here and take a look then at putting together an action plan. Let me see. I was just going to share one more quick story. So another company, their name is Calway Corp. And they prioritized exceptional customer service by investing in comprehensive training programs for their support staff. And I think most of us know that training is really, really important. And I don't know, I guess I won't have time to share the SAS Airlines story with you. But one of the things that they did is they also empowered people to make decisions, which is also what Zappos did. And that has worked really, really well. So let's review a couple of things here. So at Calway, they trained people and got them so that they were more comfortable, had more experience, and had more tools to work with. They focused on active listening. They focused on prompt issue resolution for the customers, and they personalized the support to address those customer needs effectively. So they did those three things: active listening, prompt response, and personalized support. And by doing this, using that customer-centric approach, this resulted in three more things: increased customer loyalty, positive word of mouth, referrals, and improved customer rating. So they did a great, well, big improvement by doing those things. So we've got just a few minutes here. What you want to do then is look at these things. And again, I'm like the person, I like to have my Sharpie or my highlighters. I think I'm going to stop the sharing, see if I show up back on the screen, and think about, is there one thing that we talked about that you want to focus on? Is there anything in particular that's on your customer journey or in your customer experience that needs some attention? So develop that customer relationship building plan and actually have a plan. Identify areas for improvement and prioritize things based on your resources and constraints. So, that's the whole thing, is we need to all start where we're at and build from there. And all of this can sound grandiose and like too much. So figure out what is going to work for you and what you can manage in your own organization. There usually are some questions. We've got just a couple of minutes. Let me pull up my question sheet here. So sometimes people have been known to say that they just don't have the time to focus on building that customer love. Well, it doesn't even need to take that much time. And it can be something where you really are prioritizing what people are working on. And maybe it's some different things than what people are prioritizing now. So as far as the time, anything you can do to promptly respond to customer inquiries, show appreciation for their support of your business and being a good customer, that can all be really, really helpful. Another question that comes up is people will say, well, my industry is too technical and it's transactional. My customer love, it just doesn't make a difference. Well, that could be true. And yet there's a lot of times in technical and transactional industries where you can make that relationship stronger. And it might be that they don't buy a lot more from you. Maybe though, they're going to give you referrals or recommend you. So go that extra mile and provide reliable support and show you genuinely care. And this will at least be something that is great for your reputation and helps to retain customers. Some people say, there's not that ROI that I get when I invest in customer strategies. Well, there is actually a lot of research out there that shows that a retained customer is worth a lot of money, and it costs a lot more to get a new customer than to keep one. And there are benefits to using a customer love strategy. You've got the higher retention, as we mentioned, higher lifetime value of that customer, and positive word of mouth referrals that we were just talking about. And it leads to long-term business growth. that we all want. It improves our company or our brand reputation, and it builds that loyal customer base. So there are a lot of benefits to be achieved by focusing on this. And as we wrap up, I just encourage you to take a look at your notes. Do you have one action item that you came up with? Do you have an action plan? Did you put together an action plan, or are you going to? You can always go back and watch a replay. Hopefully there's some ideas that you can use. And thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next time. We're going to be talking about getting on target.